The Protection of Children from Sexual Offences, 2012, as amended in 2019. Safety and security don't just happen, they are the result of collective consensus and public investment. We owe our children, the most vulnerable citizens in our society, a life free of violence and fear. Nelson Mandela. India has the largest child population in the world. As per the 2011 census of India, there are 472 million children below the age of 18, including 225 million girls. Nearly 160 million children are in the age group of 0 to 6 years. Children constitute 39% of our population. Children have some special rights. Right to life and survival. Every child has the right to life and survival. Right to be protected from any form of hardship, abuse or neglect, including physical, psychological, mental, and emotional abuse and neglect. Right to have equal chance for harmonious and pleasant development. To have a fair standard of living, adequate for physical, mental, spiritual, moral, and social growth. Every child has the right to have his or her best interests given primary consideration. This includes the right to protection and to a chance for pleasant sounding development. The right to be treated with dignity and compassion. Right to participation of expression, information, thought, religion. All children deserve equality, despite their difference. They are entitled to all of these rights, no matter what race, color, religion, language, ethnicity, gender, or abilities define them. The right to an identity. The right to health. The right to education. The right to a family life. The right to be protected from violence. The right to an opinion. The right to be protected from exploitation. The right to an identity. Children are entitled to a name, legally registered with the government, and a nationality, to belong to a country. Further, they must have the right to an identity, in the form of a public record. This ensures national support, as well as access to social services. The right to health, medical care, nutrition, protection from harmful habits, including drugs, and safe working environments are covered under the right to health. Also, you have access to special care and support for children with special needs, as well as quality health care, including drinking water, nutrition, and a safe environment, respectively. The right to education. Right to free primary education is critical for helping children develop discipline, life skills while finding a safe and healthy environment to nurture a child's physiological development. This includes freedom from violence, abuse, or neglect. The right to a family life. If not by family members, then children have the right to be looked after by caretakers. Children who do not have access to a family life have a right to special care and must be looked after properly by people who respect their ethnic group, religion, culture and language. Children have the right to seek legal counsel under a juvenile justice mechanism, with a fair and speedy resolution of proceedings. The right to be protected from violence. Protection from violence extends even to family members, and children must not suffer ill treatment, or sexual, or physical violence. This includes use of violence as a means of discipline. All forms of sexual exploitation and abuse are unacceptable. The right to an opinion. All children deserve the right to voice their opinions, free of criticism or contempt. In situations where adults are actively deciding upon choices on behalf of children, the latter are entitled to have their opinions taken into consideration. While children's opinion may not be based on facts, it is nonetheless an important source of insight for parents, and should be considered. However, this depends on the child's level of maturity and age. Children have the freedom of expression, as long as they are not harming others with their opinions and knowledge. The right to be protected from exploitation. As exploitation is usually achieved through violent means, protection from violence is critical for freeing children from exploitation. This extends to abuse, negligence, and violence by parents, or from any person in the society. Even these persons may be friends, relatives, family members, in school, etc. Further, children cannot be made to work in difficult or dangerous conditions. Children can only volunteer to work doing safe chores that do not compromise their health or access to education or play. Sexual exploitation, another dimension of exploitation, is also prohibited as an activity that takes advantage of them. Survivors of neglect, abuse, and exploitation must receive special help to enable recovery and reintegration into society. Children also cannot be punished cruelly, even if it is under the ambit of the justice system. Death or life sentences, as well as sentences with adult prisoners, are not permitted. Need of Act. Sexual abuse of children has become a subject of great community concern. It has been the focus of many legislative and professional initiatives for protection of children from sexual abuse of any kind. It is necessary for the proper development of child that his or her right to privacy and confidentiality be protected, and dignity must be respected by every person, by all means. Hence, it is important that law shall operate in such manner that the best interest and well-being of the child are regarded as the paramount importance at every stage, to ensure the healthy physical, emotional, intellectual and social development of the child. Purposes of Act. Fundamental rights. Under Article 15 of the Constitution, inter alia, empowers the state to make special provisions for children. The directive principles of state policy, enshrined in the Constitution of India, make it important for the state to ensure that the tender ages of children are not abused. Children need not be forced, by economic necessity, to enter vocations unsuited to their age or strength. Children are given opportunities and facilities to develop in a healthy manner and in conditions of freedom, equality, and dignity. Childhood and youth are protected against exploitation and against moral and material abandonment. India is a party to the Convention on the Rights of the Child adopted by the General Assembly of the United Nations on 11th of December 1992. Sexual exploitation and abuse of children are heinous crimes which need to be eradicated. To prevent inducement or coercion of a child to engage in any unlawful sexual activity, sexual practices, and child pornography by any method. To effectively address the heinous crimes of sexual abuse and exploitation of children through less ambiguous and more stringent legal provisions, the Ministry of Women and Child introduced the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, 2012. Well-being of the child as being of paramount importance at every stage, to ensure the healthy physical, emotional, intellectual, and social development of the child. The Act is gender-neutral law, wherein the law takes cognizance of sexual crimes committed against a child under the age of 18 years. Therefore, to protect children from offences of sexual assault, sexual harassment, and pornography, and to provide for establishment of special force, the Government of India enacted the legislation, namely, the Protection of Children from Sexual Offences. POCSO stands for P. Protection, O of C. Children from S. Sexual offences. POCSO. This is social legislation for the benefit of a large section of society to bring a social change in the society through law. It provides justice, social, moral, emotional, physical, psychological, to the children. It intends to protect the interests of vulnerable children in times of distress and ensures their safety and dignity. Who is regarded as a child under POCSO? A child is any person below 18 years of age. Such child can take benefit of this POCSO Act if the victim, a person against whom the offense is committed, is below 12 years. Offense against such child is regarded aggravated offense, which have exorbitant punishment. Offenses under this act: use of child for pornographic purposes, use of child in any form of media for the purposes of sexual gratification, storage of pornographic material, to store for commercial purposes any pornographic material involving a child, sexual harassment, sexual assault and its aggravated form, penetrative sexual assault and its aggravated form, use of child for pornographic purposes, use of child in any form of media for the purposes of sexual gratification, representation of sexual organs of a child, usage of child engaged in real or simulated sexual acts, the indecent or obscene representation of a child, any visual depiction of sexually explicit conduct involving a child, which include photograph, video, digital or computer-generated image, indistinguishable from an actual child, and image created, adapted or modified but appear to depict a child. This can be done in any program, advertisement or telecast by TV channel, internet or any other electronic form or printed form, or whether it is intentional or not, made for personal use or its distribution. It also includes use of child which involves any medium like print, electronic computer or any other technology for preparation, production, offering, transmitting, publishing, facilitation and distribution of such material. This is punished with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 5 years, and fine in the event of subsequent conviction, with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 7 years, and fine. Use of child for pornographic purposes. Storage of pornographic material. If any person who stores or possesses pornographic material in any form involving a child, instead of deleting, removing, destroying, or reporting the same to the designated authority with an intent to share or transmit child pornography, shall be liable to fine not less than 5,000 rupees, and in the event of second offense, with fine above 10,000 rupees. If any person who stores or possesses pornographic material in any form involving a child for transmitting or propagating or displaying or distributing in any manner, at any time, except for the purpose of reporting or for use of evidence in the court, shall be punished with imprisonment for the period which may extend to 3 years, or fine, or both. If any person who stores or possesses pornographic material in any form involving a child for commercial purpose shall be punished on the first conviction with imprisonment, which shall not be less than 3 years, and may extend to 5 years, or with fine, or with both, and in event of subsequent conviction with imprisonment, which shall not be less than 5 years, and may extend to 7 years, or with fine. Sexual harassment. If any person with sexual intent by revealing purposefully his intention or motive utters any word, or makes any sound, or makes any gesture, or exhibits any object, or part of body, with intention that these things shall be heard, or seen by the child. If anyone makes a child exhibit his body, or its parts so as it is seen by any other person. If anybody shows any object to a child in any form of media for pornographic purposes. If anyone repeatedly or constantly follows or watches or contacts a child, either directly or through electronic, digital, or any other means. If anyone threatens to use in any form of media a real or fabricated depiction through electronic, film, or digital, or any other mode of any part of the body of the child, or the involvement of the child in a sexual act. If anyone entices, attract, tempt a child for pornographic purposes, or gives gratification therefor. Law suggests that punishment for such offenders is imprisonment for a term which may extend to 3 years, or fine. Sexual assault. If any person with sexual intent, by revealing purposefully his intention or motive, touches the sexual organs or private parts of the child's body, or makes the child to touch such parts of any other person, does any other act with sexual intent which involves physical contact without penetration, law suggests that such persons shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 3 years, but which may extend to 5 years with fine. Penetrative sexual assault. A person is said to commit penetrative sexual assault if he penetrates his penis to any extent into the mouth or sexual or private organs of a child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person. He inserts to any extent any object or a part of the body, not being the penis, into the sexual and private organs of the child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person. He manipulates any part of the body of the child so as to cause penetration into the sexual or private organs or any part of body of child, or makes the child to do so with him or any other person. He applies his mouth to the sexual and private organs of the child, or makes the child to do so to such person or any other person. Law suggests that such persons shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 10 years, but which may extend to imprisonment for life with fine. Whoever commits penetrative sexual assault on a child below 16 years of age shall be punished imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 20 years, but which may extend to imprisonment of life, which shall mean imprisonment for the remainder of natural life of that person, and shall also be liable to fine. The fine imposed shall be just and reasonable, and paid to the victim to meet the medical expenses and rehabilitation of such victim. Law regards the above-mentioned penetrative sexual assault and sexual assault as aggravated if they are committed. Law regards the above-mentioned penetrative sexual assault and sexual assault as aggravated if they are committed by a police officer, member of armed forces, public servant, by staff of a jail, remand home, protection home, observation home, or other place of custody or care and protection established by or under any law, management, or staff of a hospital, if it causes death of the child. Gang penetrative assault on a child. Sexual assault using deadly weapons, fire, heated or corrosive substance. Penetrative sexual assault causing grievous hurt or causing bodily harm and injury to the sexual organs of the child. Penetrative sexual assault on a child which physically incapacitates the child, make the child pregnant, or inflicts the child with HIV. Whoever by taking advantage of a child's mental and physical incapability, and commits penetrative sexual assault. Commits penetrative sexual assault on a child more than once or repeatedly. Whoever commits sexual assault on a child below 12 years. Whoever, being the relative or guardian or having domestic relationship with the parent of the child who is living in the same or shared household with the child, commits sexual assault on a child. Whoever, as an institution providing service to the child, and commits sexual assault on a child. Whoever is in a position of trust or authority over the child, and commits sexual assault on a child. Whoever attempts to murder the child after the assault. Whoever commits the assault in the course of communal or sectarian violence, or during any natural calamity or similar situations. Subsequent assault done by previously convicted person. Whoever, after the assault, makes the child to strip or parade naked in front of public. Anyone, whoever persuades, induces, entices, or coerces a child to get administered or administer, or direct anyone to administer, help in getting administered, any drug, or homemade, or any chemical substance, to a child with the intent that such child attains early sexual maturity. Law suggests that such persons who attempts penetrative sexual assault shall be punished for penetrative sexual assault with rigorous imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 20 years, but which may extend to imprisonment for life, which shall mean imprisonment for the remainder of natural life of that person, and shall also be liable for fine. For aggravated penetrative sexual assault, Acts provides death penalty also. The fine imposed shall be just and reasonable, and paid to the victim to meet the medical expenses and rehabilitation of such victim. For sexual assault shall be punished with imprisonment for a term which shall not be less than 5 years, but which may extend to 7 years with fine. Abetment or attempt. Whoever instigates, conspire, or intentionally aids, by any act or illegal omission, in commission of offense, is said to commit abetment of an offense. Whoever attempts or causes such an offense to be committed shall be punished with imprisonment of any description provided for the offense, for a term which may extend to 1/2 of the imprisonment for life, or, as the case may be, 1/2 of the longest term of imprisonment provided for that offense, or with fine, or with both. For abetment, same punishment, which is for offense. Source: National Crime Reports Bureau. We are going to examine following matters. Procedure for reporting of cases. Responsibility of media. There are certain punishments for failure to record a case that are given. Procedure for recording of statement of child. Also, the Act provides certain punishment for false complaints, information, medical examination of child, special courts, presumption against offender, link with Juvenile Justice Act, procedure for reporting of cases. Any person including child who thinks that such crime has been committed or might be committed in the future, or has knowledge that such a crime is likely to be committed, then he shall provide such information to either Special Juvenile Police Unit or local police, which will be converted to a report of the crime. The report given by the child to the authority has to be recorded in a simple language which is understandable to a child, and if there is any language barrier, there should be a translator or interpreter to help the child in the whole process. The facility of admitting the child into the shelter home or the nearest hospital is also given when such a child is in a need of care and protection. The local police or the special juvenile police unit has to report such a matter to Child Welfare Committee within the period of 24 hours. No person shall face any liability, civil or criminal, for giving information in good faith. Failure to report to police or juvenile justice police unit shall attract imprisonment for the period of 6 months or fine or both. Responsibility of media. It is obligation or duty of person of the media or hotel or lodge or club or studio or photographic facilities, if came across any material or object which is sexually exploitative of the child, shall provide that information to the local police or the juvenile justice police unit. No one is allowed to make any report or present comments on any child which may have effect of lowering his reputation or infringing upon his privacy. Nobody shall disclose the identity of a child, including his name, address, photograph, family details, school, neighborhood, or any other particulars, except if special court permits, in the interest of the child. Publisher or owner of the media or studio or photographic facilities shall be jointly and severally liable for the acts and omissions of his employees or their employees. Punishment for these violations are imprisonment from 6 months to 1 year or fine or both. There are certain punishments for failure to record a case that are given. There are some legal and moral duties of the citizens for reporting any such crime to the nearby police station, and knowingly not reporting such an incident is an offense which shall be punished with jail up to 6 months or fine or both. Also, the same legal, moral duties upon the person in charge of any company or institution to report such incidents, and knowingly not reporting such an incident is an offense punishable with jail up to 1 year or fine. Exception: there is no punishment for any child for failing to report such incidents. Procedure for recording of statement of child. Statement of child shall be recorded at his residence or place where he usually resides, or place of his choice. As far as possible, it shall be recorded by a woman police officer, not below rank of sub-inspector. Police officer shall not be in uniform. Investigating police officer shall ensure that, will make sure that, at no point of time, the child shall not come in contact in any way with the accused. No child shall be detained in the police station at night for any reason. The police officer will make sure that identity of child is protected from public media. Statement will be recorded as spoken by child. Magistrate shall give a copy of the document upon final police report being filed. The statement will be recorded only in the presence of the parents of the child, of any other person in whom child has trust or confidence. Wherever necessary, assistance of translator or interpreter shall be given to the child. Assistance of special educator will be taken in case child has mental or physical disability. Statement will also be recorded by audio-video electronic means as far as possible. Also, the Act provides certain punishment for false complaints or information. If any person provides false information or makes false complaint against any person solely with the intent to humiliate, extort, or threaten, or defame him, shall be punished with imprisonment up to 6 months, or fine, or both. Whoever, not being a child, makes a false complaint against a child, knowing it to be false, which will lead to victimization of such child in any offences under this act will be punished with imprisonment up to 1 year or fine or both. Exception: no punishment shall be imposed on any child who provides such false information or makes such complaint. Medical examination of child. It will be conducted irrespective of FIR or complaint being filed or not. If victim is girl child, medical examination is done only by a woman doctor. It will be conducted only in the presence of the parents or any other person in whom child has trust or confidence. In case parent or other person cannot be present, it will be conducted in the presence of a woman nominated by head of medical institution. Special courts. Special courts of sessions will be designated in each district for speedy trial. Special court can anytime take cognizance of any offense upon receiving a complaint of facts. All examinations, chief, cross, rape, or questioning of child by the counsel of accused shall be first communicated to special court. The court will then ask the questions to the child. The special court can permit frequent breaks for the child during trial. Special court will create a child-friendly atmosphere by allowing a family member, guardian, friend, relative to be present in the court. Child will not be called repeatedly to testify in the court. Aggressive questioning or character assassination of the child is not permitted. Special court shall ensure that identity of the child is protected at all times, including the identity of child's family, school, relatives, neighborhood, or any other information that may disclose the child's identity. Juvenile justice. Any offense committed by a child shall be dealt under the provisions of Juvenile Justice, Care, and Protection of Children Act, 2015. Evidence of child shall be recorded within 30 days of the cognizance taken by special court. The trial must be completed by the special court within 1 year from taking cognizance. The cases will be tried by the special cases in camera and in the presence of the parents, any other person in whom the child has trust or confidence. Presumption against offender. The special court shall presume that the accused has committed or abetted or attempted the offense unless contrary is proved. If any offense requires a culpable mental state, the special court shall presume such mental state, and the accused will have to prove that he had no such mental state beyond reasonable doubt. Culpable mental state includes intention, motive, knowledge of a fact, and the belief in or reason to believe a fact. Victim child who has been harassed need not to worry about proving the case. Link with Juvenile Justice Act. Juvenile Justice Act 2015 requires the child welfare committees to take action for rehabilitation of sexually abused children who are reported as children in need of care and protection to the committee by Special Juvenile Police Unit or local police under the POCSO Act. Support person to child victims to be provided by the Child Welfare Committee. Age determination. Special court to determine whether a person is a child or not if the question arises in the course of the proceedings. The Special Court 5 should satisfy itself about the age of the person and record its reasons in writing. POCSO Act recognizes the right of the child victim to receive the assistance of free legal counsel during trial. Telephone helpline 1098. Child Helpline is India's first 24-hour and free emergency phone service for children in need of aid and assistance. Whether you are a concerned adult or a child, you can dial 1098, the toll-free child helpline number. Child Helpline not only respond to the emergency needs of children, but also link them to services for their long-term care and rehabilitation. Child Helpline have, to date, reached out to over 3 million children across the nation through such calls. National Council of Educational Research and Training has published the information regarding Child Line number 1098 24/7 helpline for children and POCSO e-box on the back side of the front cover of all the course books from class 6th to class 12th. Preventive measures. Children should be made aware about the good touch and the bad touch. Tell your children that if something is wrong, don't keep it a secret from your parents. Teach children to contact people whom they trust if a problem occurs. Ask lot of questions if there is withdrawal attitude to find out the reason behind it. Make them understand the value of standing out of the crowd. Never force your child to visit any adult if she is not comfortable, and be observant. If your child complains about a particular person, don't keep quiet, take it up, and show that you can defend them. Give them freedom to speak and express their views. Set a family safety rules, like making a list of people you would allow your child to be alone with anywhere. Listen to your child's response to the names you suggest. Teach the no-touch zone and proper terms for private body parts. The said act recognizes almost every known form of sexual abuse against children as punishable offenses and makes the different agencies of the state, such as the police, judiciary, and child protection machinery, collaborators in securing justice for a sexually abused child. Further, by providing for a child-friendly judicial process, the said act encourages children who have been victims of sexual abuse to report the offense and seek redress for their suffering, as well as to obtain assistance in overcoming their trauma. In time, the said act will provide a means not only to report and punish those who abuse and exploit the innocence of children, but also prove an effective deterrent in curbing the occurrence of these offenses. Interview skills. The more comfortable a child is, the more information he is likely to share. Also, children may be too embarrassed to share intimate details when they believe that others can overhear what they are saying. As far as possible, interviews should be conducted in a safe, neutral, and child-friendly environment. The interviewer can incorporate elements to make a room appear child-friendly, such as toys, art material, or other props. Distractions like ringing phones, other people's voices, and elaborate play material should be removed as far as possible. Role of counselors. In cases of sexual abuse affecting children, counselors have a very important role to play in limiting the short-term and long-term bad effects of child sexual abuse. These are as below. Feeling of powerlessness, anger, anxiety, fear, phobias, nightmares, difficulty concentrating, flashbacks of the events, fear of confronting the offender, loss of self-esteem and confidence, feelings of guilt. Long-term symptoms of childhood sexual abuse. If childhood sexual abuse is not treated, long-term symptoms can go on through adulthood. These may include PTSD and anxiety, depression and thoughts of suicide, sexual anxiety and disorders, including having too many or unsafe sexual partners, difficulty setting safe limits with others, for example, saying no to people and relationship problems, poor body image and low self-esteem, unhealthy behaviors such as alcohol, drugs, self-harm, or eating problems. These behaviors are often used to try to hide painful emotions related to the abuse. Issues in maintaining relationships. How to respond if the child discloses abuse. Believe him or her. The most important thing is to believe the child. Children rarely lie about abuse. What is more common is a child denying that abuse happened when it did. Tell the child you believe him, her. Don't be emotionally overwhelmed and try to remain composed while talking to the child. Do not interrogate the child. It can be traumatic for the child to repeat her story numerous times. Leave the questioning to the legal and police personnel. Reassure the child that the abuse is not their fault. The child's greatest fear is that he or she is responsible for the abuse. Be sure to make it clear that what happened is not a result of anything he or she did or did not do. This is particularly important when the accused person is a member of the child's family, such as his or her father, and the child feels guilty at having put that person to trouble. Reassure them that prompt and adequate steps will be taken to stop the abuse. Do not make promises you can't keep. Do not make promises such as the child will never have to see the abuser again, that nothing will change, or other such promises. Believing and supporting the child are two of the best actions to start the healing process. Appropriate and helpful responses to disclosures are as follows. I'm glad you told me. Thank you for trusting me. You are very brave and did the right thing. It wasn't your fault. How to reduce trauma. Following other ways to help protect your child from further abuse and minimize the emotional trauma which child has experienced. Prevent contact between your child and the offender until an investigation has taken place. Explain your child that she should tell them immediately if the offender attempts to touch or bother them again in any way. Do not talk to the offender in front of the child. Continue to believe your child and do not blame him, her for what happened. Give their child support and reassurance that she's okay and safe. Respond to concerns or feelings which your child expresses about sexual abuse calmly. Listen to your child, but do not ask a lot of questions. Respect your child's privacy by not telling a lot of people, and make sure that other people who know don't bring the subject up to your child. Listen to your child, but don't ask for information on personal safety or details about the abuse. Let the professionals do the interviewing to find out the details. A legal case can be negatively affected if the child has been questioned by non-professionals. Try to follow the regular routine around the home. Maintain the usual bedtimes, chores and rules. Let the child's brothers and sisters know that something has happened to the child and that child is safe now and will be protected. Make sure that all children in the family are given enough information on personal safety so to be able to protect themselves from the offender without discussing the details of the incident. Talk about their feelings with someone they trust, a friend, relative, or counselor. It is best not to discuss your worries in front of or with their children. List of support persons. The DCPU and the CWC shall maintain a list of persons, NGOs who may be appointed as support person to assist the child. This could include the following: persons working in the field of child rights, child protection, NGO, or other organization working in the field of child rights, child protection, including Childline and its support organizations. Officials of a children's home or shelter home. Persons employed by the DCPU, including legal probation officer, social worker, outreach worker, counselor. Telephone helpline 1098.